I'm sharing with Deputy Murphy and I think Deputy Barry as well, although he's not here yet, but I think so. We welcome this bill and people before profit and we'll vote for it, and we want to see it progress to second stage. But we will seek to amend and strengthen the provisions in it and ensure that there is a legal mandatory statutory pay scheme for all workers in this country. I want to put on record in relation to the government amendment and the spin that they will legislate for a sick pay scheme, but it will take time. I don't believe a word of it. I have absolutely no faith that Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael or the Greens can be trusted to return to this in 6 months. The COVID crisis has shown us, especially in the meat plants, the effects of allowing employers to evade responsibility of providing a sick pay scheme, and it's literally a matter of life and death that workers cannot wait. When it comes to the rights of workers and entitlements in Ireland, we are literally the sick man of Europe, and we have been for decades. Compared to other countries like France, Germany, Finland, Sweden, we're at the bottom of the table when it comes to basic rights and the provision of entitlements in public services. With less annual leave, less public holidays, less full paid maternity and paternity leave, workers have no legal right to join a trade union and have it recognised by their employer or negotiated with. We have constitutional rights which protect property and privilege and wealth over the provision of public goods. We pretend that employers and workers are equal in position and power, and it's incredible that we have a state which, by its unwillingness to tackle bogus self-employment, ensures that the social fund is used to pay for workers' benefits, is deliberately defrauded on a grand scale, day in, day out. While our former Taoiseach wages war on welfare, he and his government were happy to allow corporate cheats to cheat us all. This is a result in large part of political choices made in this House, and the weakness of the party here that claims to represent workers and claims to be the party of Connolly and the trade union movement. There is an outstanding irony in this bill that it's brought here in a flurry of PR releases and media grandstanding by the Labour Party, and that party must hope or believe that the working class and the trade union movement will have a bout of collective amnesia. Your memory may be short-term, but the hurt and misery that you've inflicted on workers and the most vulnerable will not be forgiven or forgotten anytime soon. It was Labour and a Labour minister who decided in their last turn in government that workers should be forced to wait 6 days before they received any sick pay from the state. The Labour Party extended those waiting days. The period without state benefit was extended from 3 to 6 days, with no compulsion on employers to fill the gap. Now, you would wonder what the party of Connolly thought workers were supposed to do for 6 days with no income. You adopted this, as in so many areas, literally in the belief that workers must wait. It only took a global pandemic to reverse that particular cut brought into use by the Labour Party. I'm sure the current administration will try and revert back to that as soon as it gets a chance. And many a public sector worker will have quite an ironic laugh that Labour are now championing a mandatory sick pay scheme. Labour attacked and radically overhauled the sick pay scheme available to public servants, to teachers, to nurses, to many of our frontline workers, to those in the civil service. They closed the door on new recruits having the same rights and entitlements to sick pay in the public service that had been there. They shamefully joined in the attacks on pension entitlements of public sector workers and rode in on the campaign to divide public and private sectors. They rode in with plans to extend the age that workers could get the state pension and change the bands and amounts that workers could expect to live on when they retired. And for this, you supported the FEMPI legislation that represented the greatest assault on trade union collective bargaining in the history of the state. So now Labour has moved a bill to make sick pay mandatory, and that's very good indeed. But you're going to have to move a lot more to convince workers and the most vulnerable in this country that you are anything other than a mudguard for the parties of the bosses and the employers in this state.
Paul Murphy.